All right, so my laptop battery died after I had already recorded the whole next part, so that was kind of a bummer. So here we go again. I've moved back down. The wind's not blowing so much now, and it is a nice day. So anyway, back to this. So I just want to talk a little bit about budgeting. Okay, we're not going to have a big major lesson on how to budget. But I do want to highly recommend something to you. Normally in a semester, I give an assignment in January, right at the beginning of the semester. And the assignment is that the students have to download a budget app on their phone and use it for 4 consecutive weeks to record every single time they spend money, whether they lend money to a friend or buy food or something like that. And there are all these budget apps that you can get. Some are free, some are cheap, and they keep track of what you spend, and you tell it the categories that you want it to keep track of. You tell it your initial budget. I have this much for food, this much for transportation, this much for entertainment, and it keeps track of all that for you, and it will tell you you're out of money for transportation, you've spent your money, your budget for entertainment, and stuff like that. Okay. Now, obviously, since you guys are quarantined and locked down, you're not going out, you're not spending money, and so you're not going to get to do this assignment, the budget app assignment. But I do highly recommend that once you get to college, that you use a budgeting app on your phone, and that you just get in the habit of every time you spend money, you put the money into your budget app. Okay, so Living on 80. What is this? I didn't make this up. This is a well-known idea for budgeting your money. Okay, and it goes like this: 10% is for the Lord, and you do this first, right at the beginning of the month. As soon as you get your money, you set aside 10% for the Lord, and you don't even have to put it in an envelope anymore, right? Every church in the world, okay, maybe not every church in the world, but most churches, and certainly I'm guessing every church that you will ever attend in college, is set up for online giving. Everybody had to do this because people didn't go to church for a year, and so churches had to set these things up. And so churches are using Venmo and PushPay and PayPal and other online platforms for receiving payments. So now you can give, like on the first of the month. Let's say that your parents deposit the money into your checking account at the beginning of each month. So we'll just say you get it on the first of the month. You can actually set your checking account to have automatic payments. So you can say, automatically give this amount to this church every month through this, and it will just, your mom puts the money in your account on January 1st. On January 3, you have an automatic payment to the church, and it's just there, and it's just gone. And you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to think about it. Your tithe is given. Now, I don't know what your personal philosophy of tithing is. I don't know what your family's philosophy is. I don't know what your family's practice is or what your practice is. But tithing is something, obviously, that was commanded in the Old Testament. In the New Testament, the lack of a specific command is meant to give us freedom to give more than just 10% if we want to, but very clearly in the New Testament, in 2 Corinthians, when he talks about this and a couple of other places, he says that your giving to the Lord should be regular, it should be generous, and it should be in proportion to your income. And so, I mean, when a Jewish guy like Paul is talking about in proportion to your income, he's not going to be talking about less than 10%. And I'll say for myself, when I first became a Christian, when I was 17 years old, I had a job. I was working at a bookstore in the mall, and they told me, oh, okay, you're a Christian now, you should give 10% to the Lord. And I didn't really understand any of the theology behind it or the biblical teachings about it, but the pastor said you should give 10%, so I gave 10%. And for my whole Christian life, since I was 17, I've never not given 10% of everything that I earned. Sometimes I'll go to a church, they'll give me a little money, I give 10% to the Lord. I just got these, what the U.S. government keeps giving U.S. citizens money. They just gave us a whole bunch of money, just like a stimulus package or something like that. So we got a check. We got a direct deposit it into our checking account, like, here's money just to stimulate the economy, to help you through this hard time, blah, blah, blah. We give 10% of that to the Lord. We give 10% of everything that we receive, whether it's a gift or salary or our missionary support, whatever it is, we give to the Lord. And when you receive money in college, whether it's from working a part-time job, or it's your monthly allowance, or your grandmother just sends you money, you should give at least 10% to the Lord. Okay? That's my opinion. And I think I could make a strong biblical case for that. Well, I know I can, because I've done it before. Okay, so 10% for the Lord. Next, 10% is for savings, and you do this second. You can do it at the same time because, again, you can set your checking account to automatically put like $50 into your savings account. Okay, 10% should be the minimum. If you're receiving $300 and you put $50 in savings, you're just going to do better, okay, with saving, obviously. We'll talk about saving later, all right? But you should save, and that's actually the next section, so I won't go more into that. So what's living on 80? It means that you have 80% of your income to live on. You gave 10% to the Lord, you put 10% in savings, and you live on the rest of that 80% for your monthly expenses. And some people will look at that and say, oh, I need that money. I need that 20%. I can't live on 80%. It's not enough. But it actually is enough, and we come back to the characteristics of self-control and self-discipline here. If you're self-controlled and self-disciplined, you can live on 80% just as easily as you can live on 100%. Maybe a little bit harder since it's only 80, but so I'll use myself as an example of this. So when I was first a missionary in the Philippines, I was 23 when I came to the Philippines in 1990. You can do the math if you want to know how old I am. And I was getting $300 a month, and I was barely making it. $300 a month was not a lot even back then. When I first came to the Philippines, the exchange rate was, I think, 22 to 1. It wasn't a lot. And I didn't have to pay rent. Okay, so the team of church planners that I came to work with were renting an apartment for 2 young Filipino pastors, and so they just stuck me in that apartment with them. So I didn't have to pay rent. So I had $300 a month for food and transportation, entertainment, and miscellaneous whatever. And I barely made it every month. In fact, some months I mean barely. So I would get down to the last couple of days, and I knew how much it cost to get. They used to sell Skyflakes in these metal tins with the lid on top. I knew how much it cost to get a tin of Skyflakes and a big jar of Cheez Whiz. And when I got down to that amount, I would go to the grocery store. Sometimes I already had it. I'd buy a tin of Skyflakes and a jar of Cheez Whiz, and breakfast, lunch, and dinner until the end of the month was crackers and Cheez Whiz. Not entirely. So when you're young and single and you are having Cheez Whiz and crackers 3 meals a day, the older missionaries have a tendency to invite you over for dinner, especially if you let them know, well, I guess I'll go home. Cheez Whiz and crackers again for me. Steve, just come to our house for dinner. Oh, really? Oh, okay. It's easy to get yourself invited to dinner when you're young and single. So I was telling a story. So when I first went to the Philippines, I was making $300 a month, and then my church gave me a raise, $400 a month. And wow, and you know what? I was barely making it on $400 a month. A friend of mine, my roommate in college, became pastor of a church, and they started supporting me, and so then I was getting $550 a month. And you know what? I was just barely making it on $550 a month. So what happens is your income is like here, and your expenses meet your income, and you just barely make it. But then when your income increases, your style of living increases also. You go out to eat more, you take taxis instead of jeepneys, stuff like that. And then it increases again and your lifestyle rises to meet it. And so I was barely making it on $300 a month, and then I got $400 and I was barely making it. $550, barely making it. Okay? So when I was getting $550 a month, could I have lived on 80%? Absolutely, because I had just been, what's 300? That's like 60% of 550, 55%. I don't know. Someone do the math. Do you see what I'm saying? You can live, because I know that I could live on 80% of 550 because I had just been living on 400 and then just living on 300 before that. So it's a matter of self-control, and it's a matter of self-discipline, how much you have to live on. I've known people. I can think of a family in our home church, and their annual income was $120,000 a year. I know this because the guy came to me for like counseling stuff. $120,000 a year, and they were barely making it on $120,000 a year. Okay, so it's just a matter of, they drove expensive cars, they went out to eat all the time, they took vacations, they lived in a really expensive house with a huge mortgage payment. Barely making it, even though they were making a ton of money every month. Okay, so living on 80, you can really do this, and you will honor the Lord. I have never regretted giving my tithe every month. I've never met a Christian who gives their tithe every month and regrets it. I just never have. I've never had that conversation with anyone. Yeah, I give my tithe, and I just, I need that money every month. I don't know why I do. I've just never had that conversation. I've never heard that it exists. Okay? All right, so let's talk about saving money. You should always save money. When I got married, I was a spender. I was not a saver. But my wife was a saver, and I have learned over the years how to be a saver. And so now we have some good savings. But when I was your age, I sucked at saving, okay? And so let me teach you how to save money. Okay. First, you should have some emergency savings for unexpected things. Okay, and this can be a couple $100. If you have a car, you're going to need car repairs. Okay, sometimes you have to have a car. My daughter Kai, she pretty much has to have a car. All right. If that car breaks down, she's got to get to school. She's got to go to work. She has to fix the car, and she better have some savings prepared for that. Okay. I don't know if you would call a beach trip with your friends an emergency. Sometimes when you're a college student, college is all about the social life, right? You learn stuff too, but like you will have to struggle against the feeling that college is all about the social life, because it's such an important part of college. But if all your friends are going to the beach, and you don't have any money saved up, maybe you can't go, and that's going to suck to watch your friends all drive away on their way to the beach. Last month, my son Jaden goes to Grand Canyon University in Phoenix. It's about a 6-hour drive from San Diego, and so he and some of his friends drove to San Diego. They took a couple of cars, they got 2 hotel rooms, one for the guys, one for the girls, and they spent 2 nights there at the beach. 3 days, 2 nights. And that was great. But Jaden would not, I would never have given him money for a beach trip. Hey, Dad, can you give me $100? My friends are all going to the beach now. Save your money. That's exactly what I would have told him. And that's what I'm telling you. Save your money so that when those things come up, your parents may not be willing to chip in for a trip to the beach. But if you have your own money, you're in college. You don't even have to ask their permission. Okay? They'll see it on Instagram. Boracay. Hey everyone, we're going to Boracay. We're going to stay in the Roldan's house, so we just need the airfare to get there, You either have it or you don't. If your parents aren't willing to give you money for that sort of thing, you need to have that saved up. I put this in for Nina. I don't know what kids and university students in Europe do but I like to think that if I was a university student in Europe, I would say to my friends, hey, you guys, let's go to Paris for a couple of days. Have some money saved up so you can do that. All right, emergencies. I probably shouldn't call those emergencies. Those aren't really emergencies. I mean, the car repairs are, but, you know. Long-term savings you need to have for purchasing things that are more expensive, such as a laptop, okay? Maybe you have a laptop now, but is it going to last for 4 years? Maybe you're using your older sister's laptop, and you don't think it's going to make it 4 years of college. And so you're thinking, okay, I think I can make this one last for 2 more years, but in 2 years, I'm going to need a new laptop. If your parents aren't in a position to buy that for you, you better have some savings to buy it yourself, okay? Maybe you want a new cell phone. And you're like, Mom, can I get a new cell phone? Dad, can I get a new... No, you have perfectly good, you know, there's nothing wrong with your, you know, iPhone 3. Does it work? Yeah, it works? Okay, it's good enough. You know what I mean? So if you want to get it, you're going to have to get it yourself, maybe. And so long-term savings. In the Philippines, in the United States, I don't know as much about Korea, but I assume it's similar. When you move into your own apartment, you have to have a deposit. And the deposit is a security deposit that equals 1 month's rent, and you have to give 1 month's rent. Okay? So what they say is it's your last month's rent. Okay? So let's say you find a place, you're a college student, you find a place in Manila for 5,000 pesos down by your university. Okay? So you have to give them 10,000 to move in, and 5,000 is a security deposit. If you break a window or break the toilet or break the sink or something like that, they use that to fix it. And then when you're getting ready to move out, you tell them, okay, I'm moving out at the end of May, and so you don't pay your rent in May because you already paid that at the beginning. And that way they ensure that you don't like move out without paying rent. Or maybe you're going to buy a car when you finished college. Maybe it'll look like this. Your first car probably won't be anything spectacular. Actually, you know what this is? I think I didn't like research this, but I think this was the first Hyundai that was released in Europe. The Pony. I don't know. You can look it up. I kind of briefly looked at it when I grabbed this picture off the internet, and I thought that looks like a good first car for someone. Yeah. Ew, they've come a long way since then, haven't they? Okay, so how to save money. I've got 10 steps. Okay, 10 steps. I'll try to go fast. Number 1, stay out of debt. Okay, don't use a credit card. I already talked about credit cards. I don't think you should have one. As a college student, I don't think you'll need one. My daughter Lindsay has gone through college and graduated from college, and she doesn't have a credit card. She has always managed to save her money and have a savings account and pay for everything she needed to pay for without using a credit card. Okay, for online shopping and stuff, she uses her debit card. So stay out of debt. That includes student loans. Okay, I don't know what it's like in all of your countries and universities where you're going to go, but I think you should avoid student loans, okay? I feel very strongly about that. All 3 of my kids are going to finish college with no debt. Lindsay went 4 years to Illinois State, no debt. Jaden will graduate from GCU with no debt. Kai will graduate from Paul Mitchell with no debt, okay? It is possible. People who say you have to have debt if you graduate from college now. No, you don't. Because I've got 3 kids that prove that you don't. I did. When I graduated from college, I had $11,000 in student loans and $2,500 on my credit card that I couldn't pay off. And that was done. And I didn't have somebody in my life like me telling me, don't go into debt when you go to college. I wish that I had. And I don't know that I would have listened if somebody had told me that, but at least somebody could have tried, you know? You guys, don't go into debt. It's a lousy way to start life. I paid off my student loan for 11 years. For 11 years as a single missionary living in the Philippines. This is why I didn't have any money in the Philippines, because I had to make my student loan payments. every month for 11 stinking years. Okay, the credit card was easier. I had a $2,500 credit card bill, and my wife, when we got married, had $2,500 in her savings account. So that worked out well for me. Okay, where am I? Stay out of debt. Oh, and never, if you do get a credit card, and this goes for like all the way up into your adult life, don't use a credit card for entertainment. I mean, okay, if you know that you have the money to pay it off at the end of the month, fine. Swipe your card to go see a movie or something like that. But if you're swiping the card because you don't have the money, just don't do that. Don't go into debt for entertainment. Don't go into debt to see a movie or to go out to eat or to take a vacation. That's just foolish. Okay. Number 2, put your change in a jar. Okay. This changes. This is obviously changing a little bit. I mean, we're moving more and more to a This pandemic is making America a cashless society. Last week I went into a restaurant and they had a sign, cash not accepted. They didn't even want cash. People see it as, there's covered with virus, and they don't want your cash. They don't want to touch something. And I'll be honest, when I use cash and somebody gives me change, I don't want to touch their cash because, there's this virus and stuff like that. So, but anyway, my brother actually did this. This is why I know this. In high school, he had a job, and he would get his money, he would spend money, and whenever he had coins, he'd come home and he'd put it it wasn't a jar, it was a ceramic mug that he had made in middle school in clay class. And when the jar was full, he dumped it into a shoebox under his bed. When the shoebox was full, he dumped it into a rice bag in his closet. And by his senior year, he had saved $450 to buy a set of golf clubs. Just with the coins. I do this. I actually put mine in a glass jar like that, and I usually bring mine for the coin drive at Spirit Week. I dump a bunch of coins into Kaio's jar. We never win. I don't think we've ever won. But it goes to Ministry Day. Okay. Oops, I had that. Set aside every $5 bill that you get. I had a friend who did this. Whenever he would get a $5 bill and change, he had, in his wallet, it had 2, like a front and a back with a divider. He'd put it in the back. And he never spent $5 bills. If he needed money and he had a bunch of $5 bills in the back, he'd be like, I don't have money. He refused to spend $5 bills, and once a month he took it to the bank. So save every $5 bill, or every 5,000 won bill, or every 500 peso bill, or every 200 rupee bill, or every €5 bill. I'm sorry, Dawei, I didn't do China. I got China later. But anyway, okay, you see what I mean? Like something, if you saved every $5 bill or every 5,000 won bill or something like that, individually they're not much, but if you put 10 of them in the bank every month, that's a bit of savings. Okay, you need to have goals for your savings. If you're going to save money, it helps to have a goal. If you just have this general, I'm saving for whatever, then, hey, you want to go see the new Marvel movie? Oh, yeah, well, I saved money, and it's an emergency, and you know what I mean? So if you don't have a goal, then there's no reason to pull that to not pull that money out for just whatever, okay? So your goal should be a specific amount, okay? So like $7,000 for a car, $500,000 to visit the Philippines, $500 for a new laptop. Okay, whatever it is that you want. These are bigger things, right? Something significant that you want to save for, and you need to have a time frame. So, like in 2 years, all my friends are going to go back to the Philippines. We're going to have this big reunion, and we're going to go to Boracay, and whatever. By the beginning of first semester, okay. By the time I graduate, I need $7,000 for a car. I also am of the philosophy that you should pay cash for your cars. Save your money for a car. The American culture, I don't know about the Philippines and Korea and Europe and whatever, they have us convinced that we need to finance our cars, that we need to take out a loan and pay interest on that loan to get a car. And I just don't think that's true. I helped my daughter Lindsay get a car, and that was actually about $7,000. I helped my daughter Kai get a car with the help of my mom and my brother who chipped in for it. And hers was more like $8,500, okay? And they're good cars, and they're going to last them for a while. And, you know, I just don't... yes, if you want the 2.5-ton pickup truck, you know, that costs $60,000, yeah, you're going to have to take a loan out for that. But unless you have a legitimate reason for something like that, like you're a farmer or you're a cowboy or something like that, then, you know, don't get a big ugly truck like that, because anyway, they get horrible gas mileage. You get those big trucks, and every time you step on the gas, I just picture dollar signs, you know, coming out the tailpipe. Anyway, so then, right, once you have a specific amount and a time frame, then you know, okay, in 2 years I need 500 euros for a new laptop. Okay, so what if I set aside $50 euros a month? Okay, well, that's going to be 600 a year, so that's too much. So a little bit less than that. So I'll set aside 25 euros a month, and in 2 years I'll have 600 euros. Okay, and I can get a little bit nicer laptop for that. Okay, so figure that out and have a goal. If you don't have a goal, then why put $25 in your savings account? You have nothing to save for. Have a goal. You can change that goal later. Yeah, my laptop is still good 2 years later. You know, maybe I'll save this 500 euros for, you know, a car, a scooter, or something like that. Okay. Number 5, make a budget. Okay, including your savings, and stick to it. Okay, the budget that I'm suggesting is the Living on 80 budget. And what do I have here? Okay, so let's say that this is what it looks like to budget. Let's say that your allowance is $9,000 a month. I don't know what college students get in the Philippines. Okay, let's say your allowance is $9,000 a month. So you say $900 is for tithe, $900 is for savings, $2,500 is for food, $1,500 is for transportation, $2,000 is for entertainment, and I've got $1,200 for miscellaneous. That's $9,000 a month. Okay, this is a budget. Budgeting is not this. You know, you don't need like a doctorate to understand budgeting. This is a budget right here, okay? But the thing is, you have to stick to your categories, okay? So that means that when your transportation money gets low, you stop taking taxis. You start taking jeepneys, okay? And you don't borrow from the others. When your entertainment budget is gone and your friends want to go do something, you say no, okay? You have to learn how to say no to people. No, I can't afford that. No, I'm not going to go out. And you know what? I don't have this anywhere else, so I'm going to say it right now because it popped into my mind. Oh, the next category is a little bit better for it, but I'm going to say it now because it's in my brain. Alcohol. Alcohol, I mean, we're going to talk about drugs and alcohol later, but alcohol, even apart from like spiritual things or theological things or biblical things or what your parents think or I'm a Christian and whatever, alcohol is stinking expensive, okay? To go out and have 2 or 3 drinks in a bar at a restaurant is expensive. Drinks in the U.S. right now are like, we go to restaurants and it's like, oh, would you like a glass of wine? No, not for $8 for a glass of wine, and that's crappy wine. Okay, if you want a mixed drink, it's like $5, $6, $7. Okay, if you want a soda in this country, it's $3. If you're on a budget, you guys, don't drink. Drinking is expensive. Apart from all the other reasons to not drink, drinking is going to drain your bank account. Hey, let's go drink, you know, and hey, another. Hey, this one's on me, you know. Bam, your budget's shredded for the month. Okay, but this is important. The white letters here. When the money is gone for that, you stop spending money for that. You have the miscellaneous, so you have a little bit of leeway there. But the miscellaneous isn't for when you run out of entertainment money. The miscellaneous is for, oh, I ran out of shampoo or something like that, okay? Or I need to contribute something for this project for a class, okay? That's what miscellaneous is for. Okay, learn some self-control. This is a better place for the alcohol is expensive thing, but anyway. Say no. Everybody's going to get ice cream. If you're on a budget, and I'm assuming that I'm talking mostly to students who are on a budget. If your family is rich and your allowance is going to be 25,000 pesos a month, or $1,000 a month, or a million won, or whatever. Your family's rich. You have all the money you could ever want. This isn't really for you. Okay, this is for the students that are going to be on allowance. Okay, if you're American and you're rich, your parents are still going to make you work and still going to make you live on an allowance. But ice cream, you got no business buying an ice cream like that. How much is that even? Look at that. I can see floats. Look at that. That's probably $5 for you paid $1 extra just for that waffle cone. Okay. Apart from the calories and the freshman 15, did I mention the freshman 15 yet? I think I did. Freshman 15. There it is. There's your path to the freshman 15 right there. You know what? When you're hungry, you're not starving. Okay? None of you are starving. None of you know what it feels like to be starving. I don't know what it feels like to be starving. I've never been starving, okay? You will not starve to death if you're hungry for an hour or two, okay? Your stomach is like a spoiled child. It doesn't need indulgence. It needs discipline, okay? You're the boss, okay? Don't let your stomach be your master. Paul said, right, in 1 Corinthians, everything is permissible, but I will not be mastered by anything. And some of you, frankly, are mastered by your stomach. I'm hungry. Here's food. I'm hungry again. Here's food. I want ice cream. Here's ice cream. I want chips. Here's chips. Okay? And your stomach is like a big baby. Or maybe you're just the big baby and you always want these things. Okay? Your stomach needs discipline, not indulgence. And so, learn some self-control, learn some self-discipline, say no to the ice cream. Don't get the parking ticket. You know how much this parking ticket's going to cost? Probably $75 in the United States. Okay? In the Philippines, it's going to cost 500 pesos. Okay? Because they're going to take your license plate, and you're going to have to go down to the police station and, pay 500 pesos and get your license plate back. All right? It's expensive, but even worse, don't get a speeding ticket. If you're driving in the U.S., a speeding ticket is going to cost you between $250 and up. Like $250 is a cheap ticket. My dad went through one of these red light camera things. Like you go through and you're still in the intersection when the light turns red, takes your picture, and they send you a picture. And there you are, a picture of you driving the car, your license plate. And for my dad, it was $450 for that ticket. And that was like 15 years ago. I don't know what that costs now. Okay? Don't get a ticket. Again, self-control, self-discipline. If you're getting a speeding ticket, it's either because you weren't organized in the morning and you left late and now you're rushing to school or to work or whatever. And that's self-discipline, self-control. Okay? Get ready earlier, get out the door so you don't have to speed. But more often, you're probably just acting like a teenager. Maybe showing off to your friends or or being impatient or something like that and just driving faster than you needed to drive and you got a ticket, okay? And it's going to cost you hundreds of dollars, and there goes your savings for that laptop or your trip to the Philippines or that ski trip or something like that. Because I don't know about your parents, but if my kids said, hey, Dad, can you give me $250 to go on that ski trip with my friends? And I'll say, I thought you had money saved for that. Yeah, I got a traffic ticket the other day. And I would say, absolutely not. Learn a lesson, okay? That's American culture. Okay, you can walk to the store instead of driving, depending on where you are. If you go to Dordt University in Iowa, it's like a 50-mile walk to town. Fine, take a car. But if it's walking distance, if it's a mile or two, get some exercise. Walk to the store. Make it an event with your friends. Have fun along the way. Netflix is like $15 a month, and we have like a family account, and we each share in that. We don't just pay it for our kids. We have our kids pay their share of Netflix, and we can watch movies there instead of going out to the theater. So hey, you want to go see the new Marvel movie? Yeah, I'll wait for it on. Well, you can't watch it on Netflix anymore, can you? So buy Disney Plus. I don't know. Maybe just whatever. Save money. Have an entertainment. You know what? Go see movies. Go see movies, but it comes out of your entertainment budget, and when that's gone, you're done. No more eating out, no more whatever. Okay? Junk food. Junk food is not just bad for you and take you straight to the freshman 15, but it's expensive. Okay? It's expensive to always be buying chips and Cheetos and candy bars and stuff like that. Okay? If you really want to do something like this, buy some popcorn. Like, buy the little kernels of popcorn, pop it in a pan, put some salt on it, and, you get the same basic thing, and it's way cheaper than a bag of chips. Don't overdraw your bank account. My son Jaden overdrew his bank account first semester this year 3 times. 3 times. He swiped his ATM card and he didn't have enough money in his bank account for the purchase. And banks are lovely. Banks are like, we don't want you to be embarrassed. We don't want to decline your transaction. And so if it's just a little bit more than you have in your bank account, like if it's less than $50, we'll go ahead and pay that. And you know what they charge him? $40 every time he overdrew his account. One time he overdrew his account by $4, and he had to pay $40 as an overdraft fee. Okay, so know how much money's in your bank account, and also I'm pretty sure that's an option. Like he had to check a box and say yes, I want you to overdraw my account. You can tell your bank, do not overdraw my account. If I swipe my ATM card and there's not enough money in there, decline the transaction. I don't care if I'm embarrassed. Okay, yeah, $40, $120 he spent overdrawing his account. Don't eat out, you guys. I love eating out, but when I'm on a budget, I don't eat out. In fact, my daughter Lindsay was here visiting last week, and we knew we were going to eat out a lot, so for 2 weeks leading up to that, we didn't eat out. We ate at home. And we saved our entertainment money so that we could eat out when Lindsay was here, okay? Eating out, look at that meal. That's my picture. I took that picture. One of the MUN trips in Korea. I would love to sit down to that meal right now, but that's expensive, Yeah, if you're on a budget, don't eat out. If you want to save money, don't eat out. Tom Hardiman, I remember at his mother's funeral. You remember Jan Hardiman? When she died, Tom was talking at her funeral, and phooey. Where am I? Forget. Okay, so he said they used to come to the Philippines for 4 years and then go home for a year furlough. That was their schedule. 4 years in the Philippines, 1 year in the States. And I think he said every time we went home to the States, every time they stopped by Europe. They went home by way of Europe, and they spent a week or 2 in Europe as a family, as a missionary family. That's hard to do. But his mother was a saver. And he said, she would always say this. They'd be at the mall or something like that, and if one of the kids said, "Hey, Mom, can we have ice cream?" she would say, "Do you want ice cream, or do you want to go to Europe?" And wouldn't give him the ice cream because she was saving that money, okay? And that's what you need to do. Maybe you need to say to yourself, do I want to eat out, or do I want a computer in 2 years? Okay? Anyway, I need to rush on. Sorry this is going so long. Open an interest-bearing savings account. I'll tell you the truth, you guys. Interest for savings accounts is lame. It's like 1% or even less than 1% sometimes. It's barely better than burying the money in a box in your backyard, okay? But at least it puts it in a place that is a little inaccessible, okay? So my advice is that you keep your savings account separate from your checking account, that you don't link them, because most banks will assume that you want them linked. And in fact, you can do this whole overdraw protection thing where you link your savings account to your checking account, and then if you overdraw your checking account, it takes the money from your savings account, and then you don't pay the overdraft fees. Okay, and that's what Jaden eventually did. So I mean, that's fine, but I don't like having easy access to a savings account. In my philosophy, your savings should be something that's really hard to get to. So if they give you an ATM card with your savings account, cut it up. If they link it to your other ATM card, tell them to unlink it. Okay, they can do that. Because if you can access your savings by swiping your ATM card, you're going to have a hard time saving. Okay, my opinion is that when you have money saved, and this is where our savings is in Metrobank on Ortigas Extension, if I want to get that money that we have saved, I have to go down to the bank, I have to stand in line, I have to fill out a withdrawal slip, I have to wait for the teller, and I have to hand that and get the money and go home. You are way less likely to just impulsively use your savings to go see a movie or to go out to eat if you have to go through all of that to get it. Okay? So that's my philosophy. Make your savings hard to access as much as you can. Okay. Number 8, consider investing money. I encouraged my kids to do this. I think it's a good idea. Kai got some money for like a birthday a while back, and she was too young to need it, so we kept it for her. And when she graduated from high school, I suggested she open a Roth IRA, which if you're an American, you should know what that is. You should probably open one now, even at your young age. But I suggested she do that. And so I helped her. We deposited the money in Ameritrade. We didn't use one of these. And $400. This is last August 31st. We deposited the money. I just looked yesterday, getting ready for this. And I did a little bit of research, and I bought her stock in an electric car company in Oregon. Okay, I wanted to buy her Tesla, but she didn't have enough, and they wouldn't sell partial shares. So I looked, and it's like, oh, here's another electric car company in Oregon. You know what? 7 months later, so from the end of August until now, her $400 now is worth a little bit more than $1,000, which is crazy growth. I wish I'd put all my money in that company. At one point, it was up above $2,000, but it's back down to about $1,000. And that's just the way it goes with things. My son Jaden bought $300 of Bitcoin when he was a high school senior, and now I think, what did he say it's worth? It's worth like $2,000 or $3,000 now. It's a good thing to go. Look, I Googled online investing for beginners and came up with all these suggestions for online investors. Okay, but here's the thing. Okay, investing. If you start with $500 and you don't put any more into your investment and you earn an average of 5%, then in 4 years you'll have $608. Okay. If you put it in a savings account at 1%, you will have like $550. Big deal. Again, it's better than a stick in the eye, but it's not gonna be anything exciting. Okay. Now, if you start with $500 and deposit $50 a month into that and earn an average of 5%, in 4 years you will have $3,197. There are online calculators that'll help you do this. That's all I did. Okay? So saving a little every month really adds up. Okay, it might not seem like very much, but putting just a little bit in each month will add up to a bunch of money. Okay? Number 9, remember there's 10, so almost done. Put your monthly savings into the bank at the beginning of the month, and even set up your checking account to automatically transfer money to your savings account once a month, and don't link them. And if they come linked, ask them to unlink them. And if they can't unlink them, then have your checking account in one bank and have your savings account in another bank. And when they give you an ATM card, cut it up. Okay? That's what I think you should do. I think you should make your long-term savings inaccessible. All right? You can have a little bit of savings, in your checking account. Just say, okay, I'm kind of building this up because, we're the new Marvel movie's coming out next month, and I want to be able to go see it with my friends or whatever, Okay? But prioritize your savings. You guys, if you have this idea like, oh, well, I'll see how much money I have left at the end of the month, and whatever I have left, I'll put into savings, you'll never save anything. Guaranteed. Okay? But if you put it at the beginning of the month, you can end up with some savings. Okay. Number 10, last, don't give up. The first time you really try to save money significantly, you might fail, okay? You might save and save and save and get a traffic ticket, and bam, it's all gone. Or you might save and save and save, and, something else happens, and you need that money or whatever, or you might save and save and save, and after a year you only have $75 in the bank, and you might just decide, I'm not a good saver. I can't save. I tried saving once and it doesn't work for me. Don't give up. Okay? Well, I told you, when I graduated from college, I was a spender. I was not good at saving money, but now I'm very good at saving money. Okay? And we have good investments and good savings. And you can learn. Okay? And so I'm going to wrap this up here. And there's one more section. The last section, I hope, will not be too... Why is this so hard? Won't be too long, but it's about working while you're in college.